Seems like we've got a majority of the board, so we'll call the meeting to order. Go right into the approval of minutes for January 14th.
Okay.
Any questions or comments?
I will move them.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Did you have something, Francine?
Yeah. Just a correction. It was not that I didn't agree with the scoring of the position. I didn't agree with the salary we assigned to it. If I wasn't clear. The scoring was fine.
Approve of the scoring.
Yeah, that was fine. It was the money, the not having a range.
Do you have anything, Ken?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
So are we changing any of the wording?
Just what I asked,
Yes, the scoring, the financial aspect of it, not the
not
actual.
the scoring.
Okay. All right, so I would move them as corrected.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Richard, I.
Flattery, aye. Okay. Seeing that we have nobody here in the public, we'll go on to the next, be the Assistant to Highway Department.
Well, I just want to correct, I touched base with Randall. The PRF is for the Assistant to the Highway Superintendent, not Department.
Okay.
It's right everywhere except for on the posting. So we'll just note of that. On the PRF.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing has changed on the position. Everything's the same. We have the scoring attached.
The final job description, page 1, doesn't show any grade level. This is back as of June of 2018.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
I see the scoring, but there isn't any grade level written on the paperwork. We'd have to look it up. I don't know if anyone has their booklet.
Yeah, I have it here somewhere.
It's a grade 5.
It's a grade 5. Oh, there it is, grade 5. I'm sorry. So on the scoring, Ken, in the middle section where all the numbers are, you'll see the total and then the grade underneath. There, it is there. Okay, so we'll add it to the posting.
All right, okay.
Description.
On the description.
I didn't see it either.
Okay.
Grade 5. Any discussion on this?
No, not with me.
So we're just filling an empty spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the salary, the current salary for the position is what?
I honestly don't know what she made. offhand. I would say it's in that lower range number.
21,950 to 35,117. Is that range?
Yeah, that's quite a range. I'm just trying to figure out for the budget purpose, you know.
Right.
But I'm sure if they signed it in accounting, the money's there.
Yeah, the range is on the posting on the PRF 1682 to 2691.
Right.
We'll see. I don't know what the prior person made.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So the finance committee will take care of making certain that that's in the budget.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I will second. All those in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Oh, I.
Richard, I.
Flattery, aye. Okay, that's done. Okay.
Can I ask just one question? Francine, your comment about finance committee. So our responsibility is for that entire range to be within the budget?
I'm assuming so. Otherwise, you know, we would be misleading. I mean,
Right.
so that's why I'm thinking she probably made it the upper end of that range.
Yep.
Just to make certain that the hole was covered.
Right. Okay.
There's no way she made the upper end of that range.
No?
No, if I want to say she made $16 and some odd cents. I don't think she was any higher than 60. I could be wrong, but it was at the lower range.
Wow.
You could ask Randall.
That's quite a range.
Unfortunately, I don't have the wage scale on me, so I don't know. And she's at a
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
It's in low range.
5 is oh gosh.
How senior a person was she?
Senior.
Because the more seniority, the more likely she would be at the higher end of the range, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what step she was on, but I have the scale here, and the max for grade 5 is 17, according to this. The one, you know, the old one we were using, 1715.
Wow.
And what's the starting range, Francine?
On this one,
Yeah.
1154.
No.
But this is out of date.
Yeah.
If I were to look in the study, which I think is what people have been going by a little bit more. Trying to find the no.
Randall just messaged me and said it was a little over 17.
Yeah.
I would say that this person's going to start at the lower range at 1682.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's going to be low until we can finish getting this wage thing done.
I'm sorry. Her position title was assistant to the highway superintendent. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. It was 1746 current.
That was 1746.
Going by this new schedule, which I think is what Art recorded in here was the current salary.
All right, so that's assumedly
Why are you going by that schedule instead of the scale? I don't understand. That was a proposal. We had never used it.
No, but what he did in making the proposal is he put the current salaries there for the positions that were there and then made recommendations for increases. So I just looked at what they said the current employee was making. But, you know, could be wrong.
We can't go by what the current employee was making because you got to remember she had years there, so hers went up.
Mm-hmm. So that's why this is such a huge range.
Yes, it is, and it's a part-time position. It's not a full-time position, so.
And who ultimately will set the salary? Is that Randall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and so he would be justified, other than the fact that the funds are not available, to set that at any point within that range.
Right, he has to use up the funds that he has this year.
Yep, okay.
Who sets the steps? Is it the person with good experience?
Okay. Then that item will be for the Finance Committee to sign off on.
When are you meeting again, Ken?
The 8th.
Okay.
Okay, so are we all still in favor of accepting this?
Excuse me, that doesn't pose a problem, does it, in this process?
No.
The fact that we don't meet till the 8th. How anxious is Randall to get this filled?
I'm sure he wants to get it filled. He realizes it's a process.
Okay.
When is your meeting, Ken?
8th, a week from Monday.
Yeah. Select board meets on the 9th.
Okay.
So are we all good still accepting this? Person rec?
I am.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so we'll move on. Next was discussion of the assistant accountant wages. Or assistant accountant.
Yeah. I'm just curious what happened with that. There was an issue because it was voted for one rate, and did it go to the select board? How did it get bounced back? I'm not sure where we stand with this.
Well, the select board voted to approve it based on a range of, I believe, what was the original $17 to $20 to give some flexibility to whoever was making the offer. And that's all I know.
I wasn't sure if we had to rescore it, what happened with it.
Coming back, is that outside the, yeah.
So hasn't been posted or?
Yeah, I think they've been.
Out there? Okay.
I don't think they've done any interviewing yet, but I'm pretty sure it's been posted. And I think they've had some applicants.
Right, and in the meantime, we have a temporary.
No, this is for the assistant. Yeah, we have a temporary accountant. This is for the assistant accountant position.
Right.
Okay, all right, sorry.
No problem.
It's It's hard to keep up. It's like all these moving parts all the time, Ken.
But the temp is doing the.
Yes, the temp is doing the job pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on that?
For a lot of money at that.
What's that?
I said for a lot of money at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next is our ongoing rules and regulation review.
You know, it's a really good document. I think it's really good.
And it was last amended to going on 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yep.
I was trying to remember where our discussion left off. Because we were going through it from the beginning.
Right. I don't remember.
If you were anywhere other than the beginning, it was before I came on board. If that's
Yes, it was. It was.
okay.
Have you had a chance to look at it, Ken?
Yes, I haven't completed it, but I have gone through it.
Yeah.
The first part of it. But I was just curious about the age of it. Is there any kind of requirement that we have that this has to be reviewed within a certain period of time, or is it just as we feel comfortable?
There's no requirement.
Yeah. We want to take our time and make sure everything's done correctly.
And with changing rules, you know, we have to make sure that that's part of our process.
Right.
You know, as employment laws change and so forth.
Yeah, in consideration of if we're changing any kind of accruals, that it should be for July 1st. It would be good to implement it on July 1st.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. We don't have to. It's something to consider. A fiscal year.
Now, there was a rule that came and went already called the Family First or the Safe Family that came and that expired at the end of December.
Yes.
And now they have a new one in. Should that be reflected in here, or is that just going to be a I suspect it's going to be I hope it's a temporary thing.
I suspect it is as well. What exactly is it called? It's another type of FMLA for COVID?
I think it's something to do with the COVID.
Yeah. It allow, and I don't want to open that can of worms unless you decide you want to go down that path.
Anybody have anything for discussion?
I think we left off at, we were going to read from page 35 on and go from there.
Okay.
I don't know if we did that. And we did talk about performance evaluations and forms classification plans that we're going to get together. Mm-hmm. We did talk about conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Just having policies written out in here.
I'm assuming that the treasurer's office is the person who tracks all of this in terms of, you know, sick time, vacation time accrued and used.
Yes.
Is that where?
Yes. Okay,
so out of payroll. All right. And then in terms of anniversary dates and evaluations and so forth, that's left up to the department head.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's ever been done? I don't believe so. Yeah.
Would that be something this committee would want to do, is put together a list of employees and their anniversary dates and put it out so that people kind of are reminded? Is that a function of it? Or is it, because it's really that responsibility, it describes everything. And that's my only thing with the whole document. It's very well written. It covers a lot of things, but it really doesn't assign responsibility in many instances. It just talks about it. And so, like, assuming that people are doing it.
Well, let's put it this way, and Robin can attest to that. I mean, when I worked with the town, and I was there for almost 25 years, never had any kind of reviews or anything. So I don't believe it's ever been done. So I don't know. I don't know if it was done afterwards.
Not in my time there either.
Yeah. Sad to say, I didn't even do it when I was there. That's the sad part, because we were always basically talked against it, so we didn't do it.
So let me ask a question. Not that it would be the responsibility of this committee to kind of set up some kind of a system, but if we were to apply for a grant that got us that kind of assistance to put a system in place, or to design a system, obviously it's up to us whether we utilize it or not. Do you think that's worthwhile?
To design a system to track performance?
Well, to do, track performance evaluations, look at, some of these special time offs, making sure that personnel policies at each department are being consistently applied. Someone says, oh, I want to take this day for this, and then the supervisor says, yeah, that's fine. Another department person says the exact same thing, and the supervisor says no. I don't know if that's ever occurred, but I'm just saying, to create some consistency so that everybody kind of.
I think every department has their own, their department head has their own procedure. I mean, they're very small departments, so it's like, I need the day off. You take it. There's no question, oh no, you can't, you didn't put in enough notice. No one's abusing it. There's not enough people to abuse it.
Oh, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, is everybody getting the same deal? Is everybody being treated the same?
Yes, because everything comes through the treasurer's office and then the accountant's office, and we take a look at it. If they're not doing things that they're not supposed to, we speak up.
But is that the role of the accountant's office? To be making kind of like
audit their accruals?
They don't agree with what the department head did?
Yes, it's their job.
So that's the chain of command?
If we had a full-time human resource department, it would be totally different, but we don't. So unfortunately, it's brought down to the treasurer collector is supposed to be keeping track of all the accruals, verifying it with the department heads to make sure everybody's in agreements. If there's something that doesn't seem right, then treasurer is supposed to pick up on it, and then the accountant will check on as far as budget wise. So that's the downfall about this, is because there's no full-time human resource, we're just a voluntary board. It's going to be tough, but everything really should fall on the human resource as far as rules and regulations, accruals, and all that. But our hands are tied because we're not full-time.
Right. And so that was my question. I mean, every small town is in the same situation. Nobody can afford to have an HR department. And that's, I think for the most part, that's to the benefit of the employees.
Yes. Well, it's for the benefit of the town, not just, it's sad because we're losing more and more employees, and actually very good employees, because things aren't being done correctly.
So my thought was, what if we got some, if we could join a regional consortia of, that offered HR services, not services, but systems in place that we would then implement. That's what I'm looking at. Because we can't afford it, and I just don't think it's in anybody's best interest to be without it.
So are we the personnel officer?
Yes, we're the personnel policy board, yes.
That's scary.
It is, because it's we meet once a month, and it really should have somebody, if not part-time, full-time for HR, human resources.
Right.
To make sure the rules and trainings and everything else is being kept up to date, which it's not.
Right.
This is why we started going through this policy book, because things do need to be changed. Rules do need to be followed because they're not being followed. And eventually it could come down where it's going to hurt the town, and we don't want that. So.
Francine, you mentioned a grant. Are you aware of availability of a grant that would cover something like this?
Well, we could ask. I mean, there's local assistance grants that are made available, not where we get money and we get to spend it. We get to ask for some kind of support, and they decide whether or not it is that they can provide it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like we go shopping for the best organization to help us do this. We get what they have.
Yep.
But in the absence of nothing, I thought, because I think it's, for me, looking at this stuff is a very big responsibility. And if you screw it up, it's important to people's lives.
Right. And each department is going to manage it on their own, and they may not be talking with each other on a regular basis to make sure that everybody interprets a particular regulation the same.
That's sort of what I'm saying.
When we have an annual audit, is that right?
Yes.
Of the financials?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have an arm of within that audit to cover personnel rules and regulations?
No.
They don't get involved in that at all?
No.
Not unless it had to do with some accounting functions.
Right.
That would be it, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a big responsibility for part-time people. Volunteers, if you know what I'm not talking about employees now, I'm talking about us.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. We're not there.
Right.
We're not there. We don't know what's going on.
But the liability is ours. Something goes amiss.
Yes, it will eventually fall down on our heads.
Everything's analyzed on the payroll. I know that much. And it's questioned.
Yeah, that's been like that for years.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Everything's analyzed. Everybody's timesheets are analyzed on the payroll.
Right.
They're approved by treasurer's office and they're approved by the accountant before they're processed.
Yep.
So, and maybe along with this, we could get some help on updating the wage classification.
Right. That's the one that was presented in 2019, but was not acted on. Yeah, November 2019.
Right, but in 2019, it's not as old as it looks because he factored in a 4% increase when he did those numbers.
Right.
So we're behind 2 years instead of 4 years, I think.
Okay. But again, that's only
That's still, right, that's still behind, but
Yep.
it needs to be updated.
well,
So I'm not saying we would definitely get a grant to do that, but whether or not this group would want to even try to see if we could get some help, or we'll just do it, you know, on our own.
Well, how was the first survey done? I mean, was that paid through a grant or?
It was a consultant. It's Don Jacobs. That's really all I know. I'm assuming it was. I don't know that we paid him or the, what's it called, the district local technical assistance. That's where the money would come from. That would, he either worked for them and they outsourced him to help us. Would have to find out. Art would, I guess, would know that. You know, it's obvious and definite that we need to do something, but we have to do something that's.
doesn't cost any money.
Well, it doesn't just cost. That's not the only thing, but we have to do something that we know is accurate.
Right.
And we need.
And contemporary.
Yeah, and we do need to do something for our employees because it unfortunately, especially the way times are going, that especially ones that are working, they're not getting any benefits for actually working through all this. You know, it's sad. I mean, where I work now, we have our counselors, they get a special incentive for working with our kids during the COVID. And it's, you know, it's not offered in the town. And there needs to be something done to benefit our employees, because if it wasn't for the employees, the town wouldn't be running the way they are. It's not so much the department heads, it's the employees that are doing the work. And they should be compensated for that.
And the last raises were issued when? Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah. So, I mean, the plan is, I mean, that's the first priority, I think, in looking at this year's budget.
Right, and whose responsibility is it to project?
Well,
increase? Is that ours or the select board?
It starts with the department heads, and then they go to finance, and then finance goes through it, and then it goes to the select board. Then ultimately the town passes it.
Right.
So, you know, that's the process. But
has there been a moratorium issued on salary increases?
There was last year and the year before.
Okay.
So it's not something that's, you know, the plan.
And who issues that? This board? This committee or?
No, I think we're going to have to do probably a couple versions of the budget. Because there is, if you watch the select board meeting, or you'll start to hear talk, I mean, the only way we're going to be able to do some of these things is if there's an override. So if we prepared 2 budgets and the town would ultimately decide, I mean, that's how it works.
Right.
Or by some miracle, and I think, you know, the governor just brought his budget out now, that it's like the first draft of it, and they're cutting regional transportation to the school, which is very costly to us. They already my understanding was when we went into this regional school district that the state said that they would pay 100% of the transportation. Right now they're paying 60%, and now they cut it again. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in transportation. And so You know, when those other expenses come up that can't not pay, like our electric bill, then unfortunately the only way they've been able to save is by, you know, not filling positions or cutting salaries, or not doing some things that desperately need done in systems that need to be replaced.
Or going to virtual classrooms.
Well, anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that discussion, but coming back to, if we have good, solid information on salaries that we could put forward, that would be a good thing.
Yep. I mean, if we're looking to get you know, a position on pursuing grants, I'd be in favor of it.
Okay.
It sounds as though that's the only way we're going to be able to get this done, or to get more contemporary, I should say.
Right. How do you guys feel?
I agree. If we can get someone to help us, why not?
Okay. Well, I'm willing to. It's a short application process. It doesn't mean that we're going to get it.
Right.
But I would be willing to do that, and the reason I'm bringing it up is it's due next Friday. We just found out about it.
Not like short notice.
I know. They just, I found out about it Tuesday night.
So it came to select board.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So I'll do some legwork and see if, you know, they're amenable to considering the application. If they are, then I'll put it in. And if they're not, and I mean the funding source.
Right. Okay.
But it would be in the interest of this committee, not anybody else.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Can I ask a couple of questions?
You certainly can.
Just having started at the beginning, and I don't want it to be too redundant here. A few folks have already taken care of this, but a couple of things jumped out at me, and I was back at the beginning. A part-time benefited employee.
What page were you on, Ken?
Oh, it's actually right at the beginning, page 8. Right at the bottom, under definitions, a part-time benefited employee means an employee regularly scheduled to work at least 20 hours, but fewer than 30 hours, and is entitled to certain benefits. So it lists sick leave, vacation leave, holidays, bereavement, military, jury, maternity, leaves of absence, and other benefits on a prorated basis. Do any of these temporaries get health insurance coverage?
Temporary should not.
Sorry.
No?
Temporary should not, but part-timers do.
Okay, so
Anything over 20 hours is considered benefited. 30 hours is full-time.
Yep.
So they call it part-time benefited. So it's between 20 and 30. 30 is considered full-time.
Yep.
But when they describe the benefits, they never say health care.
right, that's what I
They say sick, it says sick leave, maternity leave, holidays, vacation, bereavement. I mean, it says all of that, but it doesn't say health care.
and it says and other benefits, which somebody could assume means healthcare.
They do. They do get health care.
Yes.
If they
No,
choose.
but not
Anyone over 20 hours is entitled to any of our benefits.
right, but this paragraph is addressing those that work over 20 but less than 30.
Mhm.
They're saying that over 30 gets healthcare, right? Or health insurance.
Anybody over 20 gets health care. 20 and over gets health care. They are entitled to health insurance.
Okay. All right, so why doesn't it?
The reasoning of the 30 hours is because of 30 hours of being vested in the retirement system would be considered full-time. So I think they always labeled it 30 hours is full-time versus the 20 hours is by law. You are entitled to benefits.
And especially now with the Affordable Care Act, 30 hours is deemed full-time under the Affordable Care Act and 20 is deemed part-time. So it has to be state, it has to stay at that wording.
Okay. Let's see.
But anyone working less than 20 hours gets
Nothing.
Nothing, right.
no sick, no,
Well, they're supposed to get anybody, I don't know if it falls for the town. Anybody that works under 20 hours is that new sick leave, sick time law, where they're allowed to, if they work 30 hours, they're allowed 1 hour every 30 hours worked. And they are allowed up to 40 hours for a year. I don't know if that's for municipalities, you know, Robin?
I think it's only, I do not think it's for municipalities.
You don't think it's for municipalities? Okay.
the way the minimum wage does not apply to municipalities.
Yeah, we're exempt.
And part-time non-benefited employees get holiday pay. According to this.
Yes.
Um,
Other than holiday pay and prorated basis is okay. That's fine. That says it.
Non-benefited shall be regulated.
Okay, then I was on page 12. It says that responsibility of the PQP is, among other things, prepare an annual report.
Yeah, we spoke about that. Page 12, I have notes to remove, prepare annual report. We talked about that. So
Okay, so
we are not involved with that.
Okay.
So that would be removed.
All right, and E is what we're talking about, the classification plan and compensation plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And G, centralized personnel record keeping system. So we talked about that earlier, having no HR and no personnel officer. So all of the records are kept by whom? With the individual departments, or is it a central location, or?
There should be personnel records in the treasurer's office, but I think there's also some kind of filing cabinet for personal policy.
There is, and it's just strictly PCFs and PRFs.
But somewhere in this document, it says there's evaluations are supposed to be kept in there, letters of reference, application, from
Certificates, yeah, we had
like a regular HR department.
we had added for page 14, contents of records, section D, add training certifications and licenses. And 15, employee access to records. Paragraph 2, add appointing authority shall notify in writing an employee within 10 days. We want to change that wording. That's all that I have on that area. I can send you a list of all the proposed changes we talked about.
Yep.
I have them somewhere in the minutes. I can, everything that, and then you can look them over too.
Okay, that's great.
You know what we've already talked about.
Twice. Okay, super, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have anything else?
Can I mention about the fact that there's going to be a presentation on
Yes.
disability, outsourcing our disability benefits.
Who's presenting it?
We had, they had put out a request for quotes on short-term disability, and there was only one respondent. And this is the documentation that they presented. It's quite long. So having the man come and make the presentation to, certainly I think that, who can be there from the PPB is an important thing, and the select board. But it's really, I don't know if Ken knows that our policy now, if someone goes out on short-term disability, the town pays 75% of that person's salary while they're out for up to 26 weeks. The problem is, because we don't have a lot of money, when the person who's out sick is getting 75% of their salary, the department doesn't have any money then to pay for a replacement worker. So, it just leaves a big hole and a lot of responsibility on the remaining employees. So we thought if we considered a commercial insurance, short-term disability insurance, that would cost us, because it varies. So we pay anywhere between, as low as $3,000 one year for someone being out, and as much as $18,000 in another year when several people were out during the course of the year and entitled to that.
Right.
So if we did commercial, we would pay a premium every year. But then when that happened, it wouldn't ding the department. The department could then hire a replacement temporary worker to fill that position. Right. And the individual would get their salary for up to 20, I think they're quoting us 60%, which is 15% lower than we currently have. So I think we're talking about, we would make up the other 15% to get it back up to 75. But still, the impact on the department would be negligible compared to what it is now. And so that's the idea behind it. But we have to hear what this guy has to say. And so that would be February 9th at 6:30 on Zoom.
See, when this whole policy originally started, and they made this policy was for the employees. And it was a benefit for the employees because they don't really get anything for benefits as it is. When an employee went out on 3/4 pay, the department when I was there, we never had to hire a temporary worker. It didn't affect their budget. It was a time saving. I don't know why now all of a sudden there's got to be replacements, because there never was at that time. What is this? Is this going to come out of the employees? Is this going to make anything for the employees, or what?
Well, this would be an added expense that the town would have to build into its budget, the way it pays for other insurances. Let's say, if Randall, he has a lot of manpower. If someone is hurt and they're out, he's down a person. He can't hire someone to replace that person while he's paying the other thing. If we had insurance that paid that individual who rightfully deserves to be paid, then the money in Randall's budget that was left could be used to find a replacement worker.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, way back then when this policy was drafted, we never had to do that. It was never done where somebody had to replace the person out on leave. When Ed was running the highway department, he had men out on 3/4 pay. He never replaced that person. He was always a man short, and the men got their work done.
They're already short. How many men?
Like 2 or 3.
Yeah. So they can't even find a full staff. Never mind the replacement.
Yeah. So that's why this whole 3/4 pay was drafted by the Personnel Policy Board way back when. It wasn't to hurt the town. It actually saved the town money because they didn't have to replace it. the employee was getting 3/4 of their pay. So a quarter of that pay was still in their budget. So it's going to be interesting.
But what if it was a position where there was only one person in that department and there was no one to pick up the slack because there's no one there except that person and that job doesn't get done?
I don't know of any department that has one person.
Well,
even if it's two?
Let's say one person of one description, like you have one assessor, you have one accountant. The assistant accountant can't be the accountant.
At that time, David Keelson was out on 3/4 pay and Joyce was doing the work.
They step in, that's why they're the assistant accountant.
Yeah.
Well, look, if it saves money, then we'll save money. I don't, we were thinking this was in the better interest of everyone to, and you should speak up at some point when we have the discussion, if you have the experience, and then we'll hear the experience from the other end. This is not made in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not sure if I can attend the meeting because of my work schedule. However, if we have more than how many if we have a quorum, we have to have it posted. So you should post it regardless of if anyone can chime into the meeting.
Right. That's right. It won't hurt if there isn't a quorum.
Yeah.
But if there is, yes.
So I'd like to post it. Hopefully we can all, some of us anyways, just to.
Yeah, I will try, but again, like my work schedule also, I work till 5:30 in the evening. So it's.
Okay.
And is it, what item is it on the agenda? Do you know, Francine?
It's scheduled for a time at 6:30.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to come across as being a Mickey the Dunce here, but I just want to make sure I understand this. Presently, if someone is disabled, they get 75% of their salary for 26 weeks. That 75% is funded by the town.
Their
right?
regular budget.
Yeah, we privately pay. Yes.
All right. And then what's being proposed is that 75% burden to the town is now going to be reduced to 60%. Is that right?
No, what's being proposed is that we purchase short-term disability insurance,
right,
so that those individuals would receive their wage replacement from the insurance policy, and not from, and so it wouldn't cost any department anything.
Right.
If they got a replacement worker, or if the person, they didn't get a replacement worker, they would save that money.
Right. Okay. All right. That's why I just want to make sure I was on there. And of course, once this this person or this company makes a proposal, then we're probably going to be bound to go out and get second and third opinions anyways.
I think we've done the due diligence on trying to solicit.
Okay.
But don't quote me. I mean, really, they put it out there. It's been out there for a while.
Francine, so instead of, what is they're looking to get paid is what, their 60% of their salary, or is it 75?
Well, this, I believe we'll hear from this company that they're prepared to pay people 60% of their salary versus the 75%.
Okay.
And what the town would do is, out of the department's budget, make up the 15%, so that the person still gets 75% of their salary. But there's the whole management of the process, which we have, going back to HR, we don't have it.
Yeah. And
this would be a responsibility that we offload to someone else.
Yep.
But it doesn't. It could happen where we have lots of those situations in a year, or some years nobody does. So some years you're going to make it's going to be a good investment, and some years we're going to be paying out money, and no one gets any benefit from it. But that's kind of like what insurance is all about. You either have an accident or you don't have an accident, but when you do, it's there and you need it, kind of thing.
Right, and I guess I would ask what probably is a loaded question. Do we have any kind of history as to what disability occurrences we've had?
That's what I was saying. In the last 3 years, the range has been, it cost us 1 year $3,000, as little as $3,000, and in another year, it cost as much as $18,000.
Right, but that could, whether that.
So if you average that, that's $6,000 a year.
Right. Okay.
But it all comes out of one department, and that could be devastating if that individual, the $18,000, let's say.
Right.
How much is the annual policy for our disability that we currently have?
We have to hear that.
For what we have now, we don't know.
We don't have a policy.
Don't have any. Sounds
We
like.
pay people out of the budget.
Okay.
The plan.
It's not an insurance policy. It's a policy, our personnel policy.
Yes. So it wouldn't cost the town any money, and it's built within your budget. Yeah.
But you're going to have the premium that you don't have now.
Right.
So, but that's what insurance
Right.
is.
That would be the additional cost, not assigned to any department, but to whatever the general fund is of insurance costs.
Yeah. Yep.
And we have to, make a decision. Does this make sense for us or not?
So I put it on the agenda. Hopefully we can all go, and I'll add it to our next agenda for us to discuss. Even if I don't go, I'm going to try to tune in, watch the meeting afterwards, just to make sure I understand.
Yeah, that's good.
So we can discuss it as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the next meeting, would you put on the agenda the COVID-19 policy,
Yes.
leave policy? And I sent it to Christy. She could send it out to all of you when we get ready for
You
the
have
next
a policy?
meeting.
It's not like a town policy, it's the law?
Yeah, it came, what we got from the state, basically, and our lawyers.
Any other discussion?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, just remind me, our next meeting is February,
We have one scheduled for February 25th, unless needed earlier.
okay, yeah,
25, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
yeah, I got that. Okay,
All right.
good,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you all. Stay warm.
Night. You too.
Yes, you too.
Good night.
Good night now.
Night.